Greetings, learners. In this session, we'll be looking at analytical geometry question. Okay. In this question, we are asked, to determine the coordinates of P. So if we can check here, 1.2, in the sketch below, we're given the function f, right? uh, is equals to negative x plus 4, right? So we are told that it intersects the x-axis and the y-axis at point R and P respectively, right? So point Q, this point here, is equidistant to what? To this point here, point R, with respect to the origin. So PQR equals to what? 45, right? So the first question here, they ask us to determine the coordinates of P. So how can we find the coordinates of P? We need to what? If we can check the function that we're given, this one, f, we are given the equation here. So we can use this equation here to find the coordinates of P, right? So what is the coordinates of P? We can see P here is the y-intercept. So what do we know about y-intercept? Y-intercept, x equals to 0. So we should note that down, okay? 1.2.1, y-intercept, x will equal to what? 0, right? Y-intercept x equals to 0. So we copy this equation here of f, right? We know that f of x is the same as what? As y. So this will equal to what? Negative x plus 4, right? So y-intercept x equals to 0. So where there is x, we put 0, right? So it will be y equal to what? Negative 0. What is negative 0 plus 4? So we have what? We have 4. So the coordinates of point P will be what? Will be 0 is to 4, right? And then 1.2.2, they ask us to calculate the coordinates of point R. You can see it's 1 mark. So it has to be similar to that one. Okay, what is point R? Point R is here. We can see it still falls under the f function here, right? So this point R here is the x-intercept, right? So 1.2.2, so it's the x-intercept. Then we know that y will equal to 0. So this f of x, we know that it equals to y. It equals to what? Negative x plus what? Plus 4, right? So what do? We know that our x-intercept y equals to 0. So this will be 0 equals to negative x plus 4. So we have what? We have negative x equals to negative 4. So we have x equal to what? To 4. So the coordinate of point R, this one, right? It has to be what? It has to be 4 is to what? Is to 0. Okay. Okay. So moving forward, they want us to determine the equation G, right? Equation G, this one, yeah. Okay. What do we know about equation G? Right? We're given an angle 45, right? So since we know this angle, we can find the gradient of G, right? And we already know the intercept here. The intercept here is 4, right? So when we use the y equals to mx plus c, We already know C here. C is 4, right? Plus X M. What is M? We need to find what is M, right? For us to have the complete equation. So we don't know what is M, right? So how do we find M? We find M by, we know that from here we're given an angle, right? We know that if we're given an angle, let me write 1.2.3. So tan 45 degrees will equal to the gradient of what? Of Q, P. This one, G, right? The graph of G, right? So the gradient will be tan 45. So it will give us the gradient of what? Of QP. So we'll have the gradient of QP. Okay. So what can we do here? Tan 45, you can check with your calculator tan 45. Okay. It will give you what? You can confirm with your calculator. Supposed to give you what? 1, right? Tan 45 will give you 1. So it means the gradient of QP will be 1, right? So what do we know now? Now we know the gradient, which is M. We have what? C, which is 4. So we can write the equation of G, right? So the equation of G, so it will be what? G of what? G of X will equal to what? What is the gradient? M, 1. Okay, so it will be X, what? Plus what? 4. Because you already know the C value, right? So this is the equation for G, right? Okay, and then moving forward, 1.2.4. So 1.2.4, they want you to calculate the magnitude of alpha. Okay, 4.1. They want you to calculate the magnitude of alpha, which is this one here. How can we find this angle here? Okay, first of all, we have to check what do we know and what we are given, right? This alpha here, you can see there's a line here which is F, right? What do we know? We know that F, right? The the gradient of F is -1. You can see from this equation here, the gradient of F is -1. So if the gradient of F, which is PR, can you see PR? So MPR will equal to what? -1. So what do we know? The gradient of the line here will equal to what? Tan alpha, right? So it will equal to what? -1. So what you need to do here is to use your calculator. So when you use your calculator, you need to shift tan. So it will be alpha, then shift tan in your calculator. When you do your shift tan in your calculator, you are supposed to get, okay, shift tan. Okay, you're supposed to get -45, right? So you'll get -45. negative 45 degrees. So what is this angle? This angle is your reflex angle, right? It's this angle here, right? We are looking for this angle here, right? So in order for us to find this angle here, we know angles add up to what? To 180 degrees. So it means that alpha will equal to 180 minus what? Minus 45 degrees. So you'll have what? 180 minus 45, you'll have 135. So 135 degrees, right? So that's your alpha, okay? And then your theta, how do you find your theta? Where is your theta? Your theta, it's here, right? So finding your theta, it's now simple because you know your alpha. You have this angle here, which is 45. Yes, because you know there is a rule that opposite angles of a triangle, right? Let me write it here. Of a triangle, right? What do you know about this rule? You know that alpha, this one, alpha will equal to the sum of these two angles, which is 45 and theta, right? We already stated the reason. The reason you can also write it here, okay? So it's very important to state the reason. So it will equal to 45 degrees plus theta, the alpha. So do we have the alpha? Yes, we calculated alpha from the previous question. We found it as what? 135 degrees. Okay. And then we have 45 degrees plus what? Plus theta, right? So theta will equal to 135 degrees minus what? Minus 45. This will give us what? We'll have 90 degrees. So theta will equal to 90 degrees. So we are done with this question. We have come to the end of today's session. Please don't forget to like and subscribe so that you'll be notified when the new video is uploaded. All the best.